turn. Epic feats on this page. Improves meta magic epic prerequisites. 4 meta magic feats. Spellcraft 30 ranks. Benefit: the spell slot you must use to cast a meta magic spell is 1 level lower than normal, to a minimum of 1 level higher than normal. This feat has no effect on a meta magic feat that requires a spell slot 1 level higher than normal, or does not require a higher level spell. Special: you can gain this feat multiple times. The effects stack, so you can't lower the level of any magic spell slots less than 1 level higher than normal. Improved sneak attack. Improved sneak attack. Epic. Prerequisites. Sneak attack. Plus 8d6. Benefit: add plus 1d6 to your sneak attack damage. Special: this feat may be taken multiple times. Its effects stack. Improved spell capacity. Epic. Prerequisite: ability to cast spells of the normal maximum spell level in at least 1 spellcasting class. Benefit: when you select this feat, you gain 1 spell slot per day of any level, up to 1 level higher than the highest level spell you can already cast in a particular class. The character must have the requisite ability score 10 plus spell level in order to cast a spell stored in such a slot. If the character has a high enough ability modifier to gain 1 or more bonus spells for this spell level, she also gains those bonus spells for this spell level. This feat can't grant spellcasting ability to a class that doesn't have spellcasting ability. A character must use the spell slot in a class of which she can already cast the maximum normal spell level. Special: you can gain this feat multiple times. Improved stunning fist. Epic. Prerequisites: dexterity 19 plus, wisdom 19 plus, improved unarmed strike, stunning fist. Benefit: at +2 to the DC of your stunning attack. This feat may be taken multiple times. Its effects stack. Lasting inspiration. Epic. Prerequisites. Perform any one 25 ranks Bardic music class feature. Benefit. The effect of your Bardic music inspiration abilities last for 10 times as long as normal after you stop singing. This has no effect on inspiration abilities that have no duration after you stop singing. I read something about druids and bards, and there was one of their class mentioned Tacitus. Words was a little harder to pronounce, but yeah. Druids and bards were Celtic, according to the Romans. Singers are still important, in our day. Overwhelming critical. Epic. Choose one type of melee weapon. With that weapon, you do more damage on a critical hit. Prerequisites. Strength 23 plus. Cleave. Great Cleave. Improved critical. Weapon to be chosen. Power attack. Weapon focus. Weapon reach. Benefit. When using the weapon you have selected, you deal an extra 1d6 points of damage on a successful critical hit. If the weapon's critical multiplier is times 3, add an extra 2d6 points of damage instead. And if the multiplier is 4, add an extra 3d6 points of damage instead. You do an extra 1d6. If the weapon's critical modifier is times 3, add extra 2d6. And if the weapon's modifier is 4, add 3d6. Okay. Of damage. Instant. Creatures immune to critical hits can't be affected by this feat. Special. You can gain this feat multiple times. Its effects do not stack. Each time you take the feat, it applies to a new type of weapon. Planar turning. Epic. Prerequisites. Wisdom plus 25 plus, charisma 25 plus, ability to turn or rebuke undead. Benefit. You can turn or rebuke outsiders as if they were undead. An outsider has effective turn resistance equal to half its spell resistance. Round down. If you can turn undead, you turn or destroy all evil outsiders and rebuke or command all non-evil outsiders. Non-evil. Hard word to read up to them. If you can rebuke undead, you rebuke or command all evil outsiders and rebuke or command all non-evil outsiders. It's a terrible formatting error there. This line should be there. They pressed enter and they put the final line down here. Should be up here. Page 134, typo of pressing enter in the middle of the sentence. All right. I'm having to deal with broken glasses. In our turn. Yeah. Spell knowledge, epic. Prerequisites: ability to cast spells of the maximum normal spell level of an arcane spellcasting class. Benefit: you learn 2 new arcane spells of any level up to the maximum level you can cast. This feat does not grant any additional spell slots. Special: you can gain this feat multiple times. Alright. Terrifying Rage, epic. Prerequisites: Intimidate 25, ranks, rage 5 a day. Benefit: while you are raging, any enemy that views you must make a will save opposed by your intimidate check or become panicked if it has HD less than your character level, or shaken if it has HD equal to or up to twice your character level. So it becomes panicked, or if it's weak, and shaken if it's not as weak. For 4d6 rounds, an enemy with hit dice greater than twice your character level is not affected by this feat. You cannot terrifying rage the gargantuan dragon. Equipment. Equipment is another way to customize one character from the next, with a player's choice in armor, weapons, and other goods, determining how a character interacts with the encountered creatures and objects in the world. There are numerous statistical differences between items within the same category as listed below. A great sword behaves very differently in combat than a dire flail, for instance. Starting wealth and equipment. Assume a character owns at least one outfit of normal clothes. Pick any one of the following clothing outfits: artisan's outfit, entertainer's outfit, explorer's outfit, monk's outfit, peasant's outfit, scholar's outfit, or traveler's outfit. In addition, all characters have a certain amount of money, represented as gold pieces, to purchase starting equipment at first level. Starting wealth by character class. Character class, starting gold pieces. Barbarian, 160. Bard, 160. Cleric, 200. Druid, 80. Fighter, 240. Monk, 20. Paladin, 240. Ranger, 240. Rogue, 200. Sorcerer, 120. And Wizard, 120. I didn't know that thing. Wealth and money. As base as it might seem, wealth is a primary motivation for the deeds of heroes, the plots of tyrants, and the initial concern behind many great adventures. The basic unit of wealth is measured in coins of gold and other precious metals, while rough and cut gemstones are a lighter and more treasured way of measuring the same thing. Some societies do not use coins, preferring barter systems based on useful or prized objects, or more esoteric ways of symbolizing wealth. Coins. The most common coin is the gold piece. A gold piece is worth 10 silver pieces. Each silver piece is worth 10 copper pieces. In addition to copper, silver, and gold coins, there are also platinum pieces, which are each worth 10 gold pieces. The standard coin weighs about a third of an ounce, 50 to the pound. If you have 50 coins, it weighs a pound. Wealth other than coins. Merchants commonly exchange trade goods without using currency. As a means of comparison, some trade goods are detailed in Table 2.6. Selling objects. In general, a character can sell something for half its listed price, assuming there is a market for the item up for sale. Too many of the same or similar items may lower the value after a while as the market becomes glutted as the market becomes glutted with that type of good. But such is the province of games master decision. DISCR discretion. Trade goods are the exception. Hurts. Trade goods are the exception to the half-price rule. A trade good, in this sense, is a valuable good that can be easily exchanged, almost as if it were cash itself. Table 1.6 coins. Exchange value. Copper pieces, silver pieces, gold pieces, and platinum pieces. Alright, so, and then copper piece 1, silver piece 1/10, gold piece 1/100th, and platinum piece 1/1000th. Copper piece. Okay, so silver piece to copper piece is 10, 1 1/10, 1/100th. Gold piece, copper piece 100, silver piece 10, gold piece 1, platinum piece 1/10, and platinum piece 1000, 110, and 1. Right, table 6.2, trade goods. Cost an item. So 1 copper piece, 1 pound of wheat. 2 copper pieces, 1 pound of flour, or 1 chicken. One silver piece, 1 pound of iron. So I guess that would be 50 iron coins. Or billets. 50 little pieces of iron. 1 pound of iron is 1 silver piece. 5 silver pieces, 1 pound of tobacco or copper. 1 gold piece, 1 pound of cinnamon or 1 goat. 2 gold pieces, 1 pound of ginger or pepper or 1 sheep. 3 gold pieces, 1 pig. 4 gold pieces, 1 square yard of linen. 5 gold pieces, 1 pound of salt or silver. 10 gold pieces, 1 square yard of silk, or 1 cow. 15 gold pieces, 1 pound of saffron or cloves, or 1 ox. 50 gold pieces, 1 pound of gold. 500 gold pieces, 1 pound platinum. Cow. Weapons. Weapons are implements of violence used to overcome obstacles. One's guile, wit, and subtlety have failed. They are grouped into several interlocking sets of categories. These categories pertain to what training is needed to become proficient in a weapon's use: simple, martial, or exotic. The weapon's usefulness, either in close combat melee or at a distance ranged, which includes both thrown and projectile weapons. Its relative encumbrance, light, one-handed or two-handed, and its size, small, medium, or large. Simple, martial, and exotic weapons. Anybody but a druid, monk, rogue, or wizard is proficient with all simple weapons. Barbarians, fighters, paladins, and rangers are proficient with all simple and all martial weapons. Druid, monk, rogue. You'd think rogue could use simple weapons instead of bard, but anyway. Okay, so characters of other classes are proficient with an assortment of mainly simple weapons and possibly also some martial or even exotic weapons. A character who uses a weapon with which he or she is not proficient takes a -4 penalty on attack rolls. Melee and ranged weapons. Melee weapons are used for making melee attacks. Okay. Hurts. Okay. Melee weapons are used for making melee attacks, though some of them can be thrown as well. Ranged weapons are thrown weapons or projectile weapons that are not effective in melee. Reach weapons. Glaives. These arms, lances. Okay, so reach weapons. Glaives, these arms, lances, long spears, lancers, spike change, and whips are reach weapons. A reach weapon is a melee weapon that allows its wielder to strike at targets that aren't adjacent to him or her. Most reach double the wielder's natural reach, meaning that a typical small or medium wielder of such a weapon can attack a creature 10 feet away, but not a creature in an adjacent square. A typical large character wielding a reach weapon of the appropriate size can attack a creature 15 or 20 feet away, but not adjacent creatures or creatures up to 10 feet away. Double weapons. Dire flails, dwarven grosses, gnome hooked hammers, orc double axes, quarterstaffs, and two-bladed swords are double weapons. A character can fight with both ends of a double weapon, as if fighting two weapons, but he or she incurs all the normal attack penalties associated with two-weapon combat, just as though the character were wielding a one-handed weapon and a light weapon. The character can also choose to use a double weapon two-handed, attacking with only one end of it. A creature wielding a double weapon in one hand cannot use it as a double weapon. Only one end of the weapon can be used in any given round. Thrown weapons. Daggers, clubs, short spears, darts, javelins, throwing axes, light hammers, tridents, shuriken, and nets are thrown weapons. The wielder applies his or her strength modifier to damage dealt by thrown weapons, except for splash weapons. It is possible to throw a weapon that isn't designed to be thrown, that is, a melee weapon that doesn't have a numeric entry in the range increment column on table weapons. But a character who does so takes a -4 penalty on the attack roll. Throwing a light or one-handed weapon is a standard action, while throwing a two-handed weapon is a full round action. Regardless of the type of weapon, such an attack scores a threat only on a natural roll of 20 and deals double damage on a critical hit. Such a weapon has a range increment of 10 feet. Throwing a light or one-handed weapon is a standard action, while throwing a two-handed weapon is a full round action. Regardless of the type of weapon, such attack scores a threat only on a natural roll of 20 and deals double damage on a critical hit. Such a weapon has a range increment of 10 feet. Projectile weapons. Light crossbows, slings, heavy crossbows, short bows, composite short bows, longbows, composite longbows, hand crossbows. I really think they mean compound, but I'm not sure. It says composite, but I think it means compound. Composite longbows, hand crossbows, and repeating crossbows are projectile weapons. Most projectile weapons require two hands to use. See specific weapon descriptions. A character gets no strength bonus on damage rolls with a projectile weapon unless it's a specially built composite short bow, specially built composite longbow, or sling. If the character has a penalty for low strength, apply it to damage rolls when he or she uses a bow or sling. Ammunition. Projectile weapons use ammunition, arrows for bows, bolts for crossbows, or sling bullets for slings. When using a bow, a character can draw ammunition as a free action. Crossbows and slings require an action for reloading. Generally speaking, ammunition that hits its target is destroyed or rendered useless, while normal ammunition that misses has a 50% chance of being destroyed or lost. Although they are thrown weapons, shuriken are treated as ammunition for the purposes of drawing them, crafting masterwork, or otherwise special versions of them. See masterwork weapons. And what happens to them after they are thrown. Light, one-handed, two-handed melee weapons. This designation is a measure of how much effort it takes to wield a weapon in combat. It indicates whether a melee weapon, when wielded by a character of the weapon's size category, is considered a light weapon, a one-handed weapon, or a two-handed weapon. Light. A light weapon is easier to use in one's offhand than a one-handed weapon is, and it can be used while grappling. A light weapon is used in one hand. Add the wielder's strength bonus, if any, to damage rolls from melee attacks with a light weapon. If it's used in the primary hand, or one-half the wielder's strength bonus if it's used in the offhand. Using two hands to wield a light weapon gives no advantage on damage. The strength bonus applies as though the weapon were held in the wielder's primary hand only. I guess that's for reasons of math. An unarmed strike is always considered a light weapon. One-handed. A one-handed weapon can be used in either the primary hand or the offhand. Add the wielder's strength bonus to damage rolls for melee attacks with a one-handed weapon if it's used in the primary hand, or one-half his or her strength bonus if it's used in the offhand. If a one-handed weapon is wielded with two hands during melee combat, add 1.5 times the character's strength bonus to damage rolls. Two-handed. Two hands are required to use a two-handed melee weapon effectively. Apply 1.5 times the character's strength bonus to damage rolls for melee attacks with such a weapon. Weapon size. Every weapon has a size category. This designation indicates the size of the creature for which the weapon was designed. A weapon size category isn't the same as its size as an object. Instead, a weapon size category is keyed to the size of the intended wielder. In general, a light weapon is an object 2 size categories smaller than the wielder. A one-handed weapon is an object 1 size category smaller than the wielder. And a two-handed weapon is an object of the same size category as the wielder. Inappropriately sized weapons. A creature cannot make optimum use of a weapon that isn't properly sized. A cumulative -2 penalty applies on attack rolls for each size category of difference between the size of its intended wielder and the size of its actual wielder. If the creature isn't proficient with the weapon, a -4 non-proficiency penalty also applies. The measure of how much effort it takes to use a weapon, whether the weapon is designated as a light one-handed or two-handed weapon for a particular wielder, is altered by 1 step for each size category of difference between the wielder's size and the size of the creature for which the weapon was designed. If a weapon's designation would be changed to something other than light, one-handed, or two-handed by this alteration, the creature cannot wield the weapon at all. That's the end of page 137. So a halfling trying to wield a greatsword. Not gonna go well. Okay. Improvised weapons. Sometimes objects not crafted to be weapons nonetheless see use in combat. Because such objects are not designed for this use, any creature that uses one in combat is considered to be non-proficient with it and takes a -4 penalty on attack rolls made with that object. So I'm picking up a vase to hurl it at something. Skeleton. Dungeon. You're in the dungeon. There's a vase. Here comes a skeleton. Pick it up with lava at it. Made with that object. To determine the size category and appropriate damage for an improvised weapon, complete its relative size and damage potential to the weapon list to find a reasonable match. An improvised weapon scores a threat on a natural roll of 20 and deals double damage on a critical hit. An improvised thrown weapon has a range increment of 10 feet. Here, table 3-6, tiny and large weapon damage. Medium weapon damage, tiny weapon damage, and large weapon damage. So 1d2, 1d3, 1d4, 1d6, 1d8, 1d10, 1d12, 2d4, 2d6, 2d8, and 2d10. And on like that. Tiny 1, 1d2, 1d3, 1d4, 1d6, 1d8, 1d4, 1d8, 1d10, 2d6. Large weapon damage, 1d3, 1d4, 1d6, 1d8, 2d6, 2d8, 3d6, 2d6, 3d6, 3d8, and 4d8. I don't know if that's right. But okay. I seem to have flipped up right here. I don't know. Weapon qualities. Here is the format for weapon entries given as column heading on table weapons below. Cost. This value is the weapon's cost in gold pieces or silver pieces. The cost includes miscellaneous gear that goes with the weapon. This cost is the same for a small or medium version of the weapon. A large version costs twice the listed price. Damage. The damage columns give the damage dealt by the weapon on a successful hit. The column labeled damage is for small weapons. The column labeled damage medium is for medium weapons. If 2 damage ranges are given, then the weapon is a double weapon. Use the second damage figure given for the double weapons. Extra attack. Table tiny and large weapons damage gives weapon damage values for weapons of those sizes. So tiny and large weapons. It's referencing tables that aren't on this page. So cost, damage columns, damage medium. The table spells out that you do weapon damage instead of abbreviating it. Here, it's referencing a table that's abbreviated. Critical. The entry in this column notes how the weapon is used with the rules for critical hits. When your character scores a critical hit, roll the damage 2, 3, or 4 times as indicated by its critical multiplier, using all applicable modifiers on each roll, and add all the results together. Exception: extra damage over and above a weapon's normal damage is not multiplied when you score a critical hit. So, extra damage over and above a weapon's normal damage is not multiplied. Times 2. The weapon deals double damage on a critical hit. Times 3. The weapon deals triple damage on a critical hit. Times 3 times 4. One head of this double weapon deals triple damage on critical hit. The other head deals quadruple damage on a critical hit. Times 4. The weapon deals quadruple damage on a critical hit. 19 to 20 times 2. The weapon scores a threat on a natural roll of 19 or 20 instead of just 20 and deals double damage on a critical hit. The weapon has a threat range of 19 to 20. 18 to 20 times 2. The weapon scores a threat on a natural roll of 18, 19, or 20 instead of just 20 and deals double damage on a critical hit. The weapon has a threat range of 18 to 20. Range increment. Any attack at less than this distance is not penalized for range. However, each full range increment imposes a cumulative -2 penalty on the attack roll. A thrown weapon has a maximum range of 5 range increments. A projectile weapon can shoot out to 10 range increments. I think they mean feet. or yards, maybe. Range increments. I think that means like feet or yards. Weight. This column gives the weight of the medium version of the weapon. Have this number for small weapons and double it for large weapons. Type. Weapons are classified according to the type of damage they deal: bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. Some monsters may be resistant or immune to attacks from certain types of weapons. Some weapons deal damage of multiple types. If a weapon is of two types, the damage it deals is not half one type and half another. All of it is both types. Therefore, a creature would have to be immune to both types of damage to ignore any of the damage from such a weapon. Like, don't try to deal bludgeoning damage to a ghost, I guess. In other cases, a weapon can deal either of two types of damage. In a situation when the damage type is significant, the wielder can choose which type of damage to deal with such a weapon. Special. Some weapons have special features. See the weapon descriptions for details.